Now let's talk about cloud because that was big at your conference, your annual conference, Empower. Even the theme was Own the Cloud. I loved the theme.
How to put a managed service around the cloud. And what we found is it wasn't just enable talking to the MSPs. That's not what Empower is about.
Welcome to part one of this very special episode of Sunny's Silver Linings. Sunny's guest today is John Pagliuca, President and CEO of Enable. In the first part of this episode, they chat about the dangers and opportunities in the MSP channel, a recession impacting the speed of products and service growth in the channel, and so much more. And now, your host, the founder and CEO of IT by Design, Mr. Sunny Kayla. Over to you, Sunny.
Hi, John. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Sunny, nice to see you. It's great
nice to
be
see
here. Thanks
you
for having me.
too. And thank you for taking the time to be on Sunny's Silver Linings. And I know you have a lot of silver linings to share with our channel friends. And last time we met in Vegas was at your conference, Empower. And, I was thrilled to see you and your team members. And, one thing that I think why we love working with you is because of that overall mindsets alignment. And, the hospitality was top notch. And when I was talking to any one of your team member, it's just the energy that you feel in the conference or energy that I felt in the conference was so amazing, so awesome. And partners had a similar, I was talking to a lot of Enable partners and they had a very similar sentiment that you guys really, really cared for everyone, all guests from the bottom of your heart. And that is the alignment when we talk about IT by Design and Enable partnership. So thank you for doing what you're doing for the channel.
Yeah, no, thank you for saying that, Sunny. And we try our best. And by the way, you're right. I believe the two companies have a very similar view and kind of a kinship, what I would say, as to how we approach it. When I attended your show in July, I was blown away by the level of care that your team showed, the level of professionalism, but you, your wife, your family, but every person at IT by Design. And it was genuine. And number one, and it was number two, all in the spirit of partnership. When the playbooks that you have for those MSPs are gold. Those are gold mines what you guys have created for that organizations. And I knew right from the beginning, and by attending that show, just kind of reaffirmed that we have a great partnership here, and we're all kind of here to help the channel move forward. So thanks for having me, and love the relationship that the two companies are forging together.
Yeah, and it's a lot more fun when you are surrounded by like-minded people. And, so you have built a great company, especially, when I talk to your leadership team, team members, like you can feel that culture. So great job at what you have done culturally and overall building something for the channel, creating that value. So let's add more value today from this conversation to the channel. And the first question that I want to ask you, there are a lot of conversations around recession. We had that build it. Not too many companies were talking about back in July when we had our conference, and you talked about like overall how MSPs or what MSPs should be doing today or should be paying attention to do well in recession. So let's talk about that a little bit. So in the economic climate that we are in right now, or what we're seeing in 2023, what are the dangers and opportunities that you see MSP channel facing in 2023?
Sure. And your podcast is perfectly named, right? The silver lining, right? So the full expression is finding that silver lining in that dark storm cloud, right? And whenever there's the situation is finding that thread that we can all leverage to do good with. And I think that's perfectly said for a podcast, especially in our space. And it plays directly into the themes that I see. I see three challenges is what I'll say And I refer to these often as headwinds, but to your podcast point, and I know you believe in this is the way you operate, is what are those, how can we take those headwinds and turn them into tailwinds? What is that silver lining in there? For me, it starts with, and when we talk to MSPs, Sonny, I know you hear this a lot, it's labor scarcity and being able to attract and retain talent. And so that for me is number one. Number two is anything to do with security. It's getting more and more complicated. We have to make sure our businesses, and I know you guys take security very seriously at IT by Design. We take it very seriously at Enable. But then our partners have that challenge for their own company, and then they need to make sure that their customers are secure. And then the last thing is just how complicated and the speed of change that everything is. We know that workloads are moving from what I refer to as the closet to the cloud, and how do MSPs play into that new world and effectively navigate this new world as it's getting more and more complicated. That for me is the three headwinds, and if done right, Sonny, I think they can be the three tailwinds.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And now security and cloud.
Yeah.
And so in terms of security, so where do you see the opportunity? I know, it's big, but one specific question I have in terms of security is, so the speed of the growth, like cybersecurity products, services, it was awesome in the last few years that this industry is growing. Anyone with a good product, good service in cybersecurity, that company's valuation to overall revenue, everything is going up at a very, very, good speed.
Yeah.
Really fast growth. Do you see a recession impacting the speed of cybersecurity products and services growth?
If I had to categorize what spend is more recession resilient than others, I think security spend is very much recession resilient. I don't want to call it recession proof, but definitely recession resilient. Why? Yeah. Because it's all risk reward, right, Sonny? It's a balance. And for these SMEs, if they're not willing to properly secure themselves, they can have an extinction event. Number one, and number two, compliance matters are forcing companies to take a much more secure posture. And then the third element there, Sonny, is cybersecurity, right? If anyone is trying to get their cybersecurity insurance and they want to have their cybersecurity insurance, guess what? The insurance carriers and underwriters are saying, wait a minute, you need to have EDR, you need to have MFA, you need to have a backup plan. You need to be, what are you doing for your cyber phishing program? And so they're dictating to small, medium enterprise what good looks like from a security point of view, which is a tremendous opportunity for the MSP. So in the short term, and I honestly think in the foreseeable future, as long as there's bad guys out there, unfortunately, security will continue to outpace, as you said it, will outpace the rest of the software spend in there. And it's a great opportunity for MSPs because what we're seeing the best MSPs doing is what we call is tell, not sell. They're walking in saying, no, Mr. Customer, Ms. Customer, you need to have MFA, you need to have EDR, you need to have this backup offering. Here is the cyber hygiene that you have to have, or I'm not going to service you. And they're doing that, and they're expanding their wallet share, growing their businesses, and their customers are safer and healthier as a result. So I call it a win-win-win. And so I think it's an important part. So that's why I continue to look at it. It's a headwind in the sense that the MSPs themselves need to make sure they're investing in their business, that they're not missing a bit because they themselves are a target. We know, unfortunately, Sonny, we in the MSP community, you know this, we're a target, right? We're a supply chain target. We have to make sure that we're defending our technology, our data, and training our people as well.
Yeah. So in terms of cybersecurity, you don't see people cutting their budgets there. It's probably like the essential risk is big for the business. Right. So it will continue to do well. Now let's talk about cloud, because that was big at your conference, your annual conference, Empower. Even the theme was Own the Cloud. I loved that theme. So can you talk to us a little bit? What do you mean by Own the Cloud? And then you said closet to cloud.
Sure.
So talk to us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. And so by 2027, we're in 2022, so about 5 years from now, the opportunity in the SME, the small, medium enterprise, on cloud-related spend is going to be over $1 trillion. That's trillion with a T, right? And so there's a tremendous opportunity there. We know more workloads are moving to the cloud. We know MSPs are helping with that transition. The challenge there, and the reason why we called it Own the Cloud, is MSPs are in different spots in their journey, Sunny. Some are very familiar with M365 and are helping their customers with M365. Fewer are working with Azure and helping push more and more workloads go into Azure. But as MSPs look to help move from the closet, so the Exchange servers, we had Exchange servers and file servers and other application servers that were in a closet. All of those applications are now moving to the cloud. The data is moving to the cloud. Well, that creates a challenge for the MSPs. First of all, technically, most of them know how to do it. So it's not a technical problem. Yeah. It's more of a commercial problem. MSPs are struggling to how to put a service around that, number one. They're also not sure how they can make sure that they're securing it properly. It's a little bit more abstract. And just because it's at a hyperscaler like Microsoft or some of these other companies, it doesn't mean that it's not secure. And so, it doesn't mean that it is secure. So they have to make sure that their data is still secure. So we spent, I think it was over 80 workshops at Empower talking to MSPs about security, about being secure in the cloud, cost optimization in the cloud, how to put a managed service around the cloud. And what we found is it wasn't just Enable talking to the MSPs. That's not what Empower is about. It's about getting MSPs together and talking to themselves and having best practices shared. It's a very collaborative industry, as you know. And so we spent a lot of time on how to monetize the workload moving to the cloud, how to think about that. I found about 80% of MSPs are doing a good job with M365, but only about 15 or 20% are really understanding how to monetize Azure workloads, SaaS applications. We have this big shadow IT bit with SaaS sprawl, and MSPs are struggling a little bit with how to effectively manage that at scale and monetize it. So that's what that was about. If an MSP does it right, it's basically the next wave, right? Where they can help their customers manage all these SaaS applications, harness that data, protect that data that used to be in a closet somewhere. Now it's in multiple clouds. So that's what the focus really was there.
Next week on Sunny Silver Linings.
And if they're either winning, they can continue to win. If they're not winning, they need to pivot their business and learn from that. You're probably a better person to speak about entrepreneurship than I am.
And it's just learning from the experience versus, we should be learning from books, podcasts, everything.